Hi, I'm Sherry and welcome back to my channel, Sherry Jones Designs. In today's video, we are going to make a really cute summer tunic. It's kind of a mix of things I've been doing all along. And one thing you get to see when I do upcycles is that I use elements from each one of the videos. You know, I might put 2 or 3 of those elements together to create a unique design. And that's the reason that I'm doing like really thorough individual videos on certain techniques. So you can do the same. You could use a piece of one, a piece of another one, and combine them and come up with something really unique. And that is just your design. So today I'm going to start off with this piece of fabric I found at my local thrift store. Now for you, this could be upcycled, a back of a shirt. This could be some linen, you know, it could be anything like that, or just yardage. You can buy yardage. Even though I focus on upcycles, you know, you can still use a lot of the information that I have here in these videos with yardage fabric if that is something that you would want to do. This is a lighter cotton, and it's not seersucker, but it's pretty close. So I do want it to be rather flat when I work with it, so it just makes it easier. I do want this fabric to lay flat when I go to cut it out. I did just wash it, and so you'll see the fraying here of the selvage edge, but I'm going to press it. Not super perfect or anything. I'm not using a spray starch or anything. I'm just pressing it out so it'll lay flat. Once I get that done, I will show you the pattern that I'm using, and I'll link the videos below where I show you how to make those patterns. If I remember, hopefully I will remember. This is the pattern that I'm using, and I do show how to make this. It's very simple. It's just pretty much straight across the bottom, just the length you want it, and the length you want it is going to be whatever top you're going to be using. If you're using a t-shirt for your top, you would measure from where you cut your t-shirt off to add the length that you want. Now I'm going to have a border at the bottom, probably at least 6 inches, so I'll be adding that. I'm going to have a border up here and then some tie straps. You can pretty much figure 8 inches for your shoulder straps, 7 and 3/4 to 8, somewhere in between there. And if you're making it for yourself, of course, you will be making those adjustments as you go. You can also, if you're making the tunic with if you're making it with just like a band and your tie straps, you can actually make them to tie so that they're completely adjustable. I'm going to be cutting 2 of these, and then I'm either going to be using sleeves, I haven't decided, or this other denim here for my outside borders. This is my inside. So the first thing I need to do is make sure it's long enough. Looks like I need to scoot up just a little here. And the height of this, like I said, will depend on what you want to make. Are you making a dress? Are you making a shirt? If it's a shirt, you'll come down more, and also depends on what you're putting on the top. But this piece here in the middle is just flat across the bottom and the top, and then just at an angle. Now, if you want to have it to be less full, you can not angle it as much. So that would be up to you. All right, for this project, you will need a set of sleeves, your choice, you know, on color. Or you could actually make a second set of this and use it in the place of sleeves. But to get this look, you will have to have a pair of sleeves, long sleeves. And then this could be made from shirt backs, but I'm using this fabric. And what we're going to do is make sure that make sure the piece that you're cutting is long enough, because we're going to be putting a band here, long enough to go between here or somewhere down here, because we also will be doing some patchwork. So, you know, make sure it's pretty long, at least as long as this. So I'm okay with what I have here. I'm going to want 2 of these cut at angles. And by angles, I mean by cut like that. And there is going to be an elastic in it, so you can be a little bit off on the size and you're still going to get something that fits you. So basically, if I can give you a preview of what it will be, there will be a sleeve here with this color in between, and I'll have a band, and this band is going to have elastic in it to allow it to stretch a little bit. And then down here we'll have it pieced in at the bottom. So we're going to be using the whole length of the sleeve to here. So, okay, let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and cut I need 2 cut like this. And they don't have to match with the stripe because one's going to be in the front and one's going to be in the back. So I'm just going to kind of come across like this. And I just kind of use this as a guide. I don't necessarily have to be exact. Just something like that. And then I'll do that again. We'll have to do it from the other side. So, all right, I'm going to cut another one of these and we'll go on to the next step. Okay, so I've got my 2 pieces cut here, and I didn't match the plaid. One's going to be in front, one's in back. It doesn't really matter. And I've got my sleeves here. Now my sleeves, I will be sewing these closed so they don't gap while you're wearing it. Now if you want that to gap, you know, for airflow, you can, but for me it's I don't like that. So the next thing we're going to be doing now, it'll be similar to that. Of course, this will be, well, folded open, but now we just need to figure out what is going to go between here. And now this is where you would measure. Let me put it, make sure you're seeing the whole thing. Here, this way. Let's look at it this way, and I'll show you. One of these is going to go right here in the middle. Okay, so, and you'll have to take that into consideration if you're going to make one of these to measure. This fits just over the top of the bust line, and give yourself a little bit extra because in the measurement when you're cutting this, because this is going to gather. So what I'm trying to say is to make sure it fits you, you're going to make sure that all of it together is at least 4 inches, I'd say, wider than your actual measurement, so that you have room for this to gather and you have room to get in and out of it. So what it will look like is this is going to fit here like this, and then we're going to have a piece of fabric here that the elastic is going to go through the middle of it. So this is going to have a little ruffle across the top. It's very cute when it's finished, but now we need to decide on the fabric here. It could be, if you have more of this fabric, you could use that, but you can also use something really pretty and fun, something like floral or something totally different to give it an accent. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find something I really like, that I've got the pink and the purples. Look how many colors I have to pick. So I'm going to pick something that is very cheerful, that I can also add to the bottom of it for this piece here in the middle. And it doesn't have to be very big, but if you want to use it down at the bottom of your garment, you will need something a little bit bigger. I like this, but I do like this. So which one would you have picked? I kind of like this one because this is a big plaid and this is a lot smaller of a print. I kind of like the balance, but then again, this is more retro. So I'm struggling. I think I'm going to go with this one. Now, what we're going to do is, and this one is a vintage sheet linen, and this one is actually yardage that I bought for a customer and then I just didn't use all of it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cut a band now that's going to be equal to the width of this, plus give me a little bit of a seam allowance. So let's get it unfolded. What's my band here? I'm going to be looking at just a little over probably 2.5 inches or so is where I'm going to cut the width I'm going to cut. Now it'll depend on your sleeve, so measure your sleeve cuff. And I guess I could use it the other way. I'd prefer to have my grain of fabric going that way if I could. It's not an absolute, but it seems like it might be a wiser idea. Looks like I might have a little bit of pressing here as well. Okay, now the way I want to do my band, I'm going to kick my iron back on. The way I want to do my band, I'll show you this, is just like the cuff. I want my band to fold over. You don't have to. The one that I've made before that I'm kind of copying, I did not do that. I just cut it, and the top, when I stitched it, I must have put the elastic directly on the inside, but I kind of want to do a casing on this one so the elastic does not rub. So basically, if I'm going to have 2.5 and I want 2.5, but I want it folded over, I'm going to need a 5-inch piece so we can fold it over. So let's just kind of, I'm just going to press it just like it is here. And we are going to just cut a 5-inch piece and then press it in half. This is probably the most ironing you'll ever see me do in my videos. I don't normally like to iron. I'm too carefree for that, and I don't mind the wrinkles. So, but sometimes it can save you a lot of time by ironing. If you don't have to fight the wrinkles and you don't have to deal with all that. I'm just going to fold this again. And what I'm going to do to make it easier for myself is I'm going to use my cutter here. Not scissors, but I'm going to be using this and this to give myself a nice straight edge. It's just easier, makes your life easier when you go to put it together. And then we're going to cut a 5-inch width here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there. Alrighty, and I'm going to fold this back up, and I may be using it for pockets or something, or bottom border. I'm not sure which. I don't know. I kind of design as I go. But I do want to go ahead and fold it back up. Okay, now this, probably won't use all of it, but because it's just a middle piece, I'm going to go ahead and fold in half again, like that, and we're going to press it again. Just to make our life a little bit easier. Let's see here. Yeah, something like that, in the vicinity of that. Okay, now I'm going to take my scissors and just cut these apart here at my fold, and I should have plenty here. Actually, this one should have been ironed the other way. So don't do what I did, ha ha ha. So you want to press like that. And then we're going to go over and we're going to put it together. Start putting it together. Because in the middle of this, there will be a casing in the middle where you'll be pulling an elastic through it. So there will be a casing right here where you will be sewing that elastic in. We're not going to use a heavy elastic either, because we want it to be comfortable. All right, now we have our pieces that will go in between, like this, our sleeve here. Like that, and then this, of course, would be in the middle. So I think that's going to be very pretty, and then this will be gathered. Let's do it. I'm using my Singer Heavy Duty for my black thread. I decided to go ahead and do that. I want to show you that when you are sewing your sleeves shut, if you don't, if you're not noticing, because this happened to me, and I was like, oh, I better show them, and you just take off, you can come with a bunch up to where your button is. So always make sure that I grab here and here and stretch it out to see where you should start, so that so it doesn't bunch on you. It just did that to me, and I was like, oh, I better show them that. So, and I always sew these shut. And it's still going to want to bunch on me, but I'm going to pull it. Like that. This top band here only needs to be as wide as the top of your fabric. Here, that's all the wider you need it. So you can just go ahead and snip that off to the width of your fabric. We'll use that, of course, for a patch or something. Now what I'm going to do is, here, the right side of your fabric, and you've got this fold, you're going to fold that over, and we're just going to sew it on, just like that, right down here, and then I will be flipping mine and doing a top stitch. Okay, so now we're going to create the casing. So I'm going to be using this elastic. Okay, this is 3/4, but it's a very soft 3/4. I would use 1/2 inch to 3/4. I wouldn't use anything bigger than that, but you do want it to be, you know, to give you some gather. It is going to have some strength. So that's how big our casing needs to be. So what I'm going to do here, I'm not going to sew with this here. I'm just going to give myself a couple of, an idea of where to start. And I can see I've got a mark on my machine that's going to work for my top one. So what I'm going to do is begin. And so keep this on the edge, and that's the top of my casing. And then I'll do that again for the bottom of the casing. I do usually work, when I'm doing casings, go ahead and do a back stitch, because sometimes pulling on the elastics, you can pull up your fabric there. The second one, same way. And where you would need to sew, and then like I've got if you don't have a marker, you can put a piece of tape or put something out here to mark where you need to run the edge of your fabric. And I know if I go here, right along that hole, I should be good. You could also, instead of elastic, you could make this narrower and use cording and have like 2 buttonholes for the front and tie it, which would be, you know, have a little bow tie here and down, and that would look really cute as well. Now there's 2 ways that I know that I can proceed here. I can go ahead and sew my sleeves on and then come back and open this up on the back side and tack my elastics in. That is not a bad idea, because if you're making it for yourself, you can try it on at that point to make sure that it would fit you. So maybe that's how I'll show this one, because I think that might be better for if you're making it for yourself, because you wouldn't know how much elastic this would need to be, because you wouldn't want to make it too tight. So let's just go from here then. So we're going to take this as our front, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew this just right on top. It's got a, you know, that sort of finished edge that these sleeves have. I'm just going to start on top like this, and I'm going to use zigzag because I just like the way it looks. You can use however you would want to use, and I'm just going to sew it all the way down. And then when we go put our elastic in, we'll just open the part up that we need. And I'm just making sure I'm overlapping it and it's all laying flat. You can pre-pin this if you're nervous. If you don't have a flat table to work on, it's best probably to lay it out on a table and pin it and then bring it to your machine. When I lay this out, you'll see a sleeve has sometimes a lot, sometimes a little bit, a bit of a curve that comes in. So it's not bad if you go ahead and follow it all the way down, but you will notice it in the garment. So what I tend to do is just keep it all flat, and it comes in a little bit here. I just let it go ahead and come in like that. I'll probably be cutting this off anyways and using patchwork in here over this, so I'm just going to go ahead and tack that down. I'm going to do the same thing, just overlap. Now here you can decide if you don't want to see the raw edge, which you're going to see some raw edge here anyways because we've cut this. So you're going to have a raw edge. So if you're fine with the raw edge, lay it. Sometimes I will just fold it like here, and you can just kind of start at the top like this, and you won't even notice that you started a fold, which is what I'm just going to go ahead and do. And just make sure it's staying flat and you've only got the layers you mean to sew through. Okay, now on your last one, I usually just slide this part back behind the machine. And then you're going to start, that way you can sew all the way through to the other side with ease. Again, we're just going to start it, matching the top. And on this one I have that seam again, so I don't have to fold anything, which I didn't have to anyways. It was fine the way it was. So now we're just going to figure out how much of this needs pulled in. So I'm going to get a piece of elastic. Well, I just hit the floor. I'm going to get a piece of elastic here. And I'm going to measure my elastics because I do want the tension front and back to be the same because I will have to attach straps. And I want my straps to be on the side and have about 7 inches in the middle. So I'm going to probably make mine about 9 inches. So let me grab a measurement here. I'm just going to go ahead and cut them at 10 because I'm going to be tacking each side in. So I'm going to want 2 10-inch pieces of elastic. Just going to go ahead and pre-cut them. So we're going to take between our casing and take our stitch out. There, so we can get through it on both sides. And we'll do that front and back, just remove the stitching in between where the casing is. Put it on one end like that. You can use a big safety pin, will work just fine for that as well. And we're just going to go through and pull our elastic. Just be careful like to hang on to when you get close because it'll just zip on through. I'll show you how to do that. We'll stitch one end before we get it probably all the way through to the other. Make sure it's kind of laying flat. And we're just going to get it close here. When I start pulling it through, I just want to hang on to it. You can pin it to something if you are afraid you're going to lose it. And once I get it there, I'm just going to sew this back shut now. I'm going to go ahead and start the bottom of the sleeve, and we're just going to come up and just sew that in there. Because remember, I gave a 1/2 inch to each side extra. I'm going to give a little extra there because it'll be pulling on it when they wear it. So now we're going to finish pulling it all the way through. And I'm going to make sure that it's not twisted, it's laying flat, nothing is twisted. And this is the part where you would adjust it for what you want. You could take and pin it on the other side with like a safety pin and make sure you've got enough in there, enough of a gather for the look you're going after. And isn't that cute? So we're just going to give it a little tug, and I think that would be plenty good. My straps will probably sit here somewhere. So what we're going to do is just make sure we get our elastic out the other side. This is the part you have to be careful you don't lose your elastic. And you can cut it a little bit long, but you do, the thing is, if you don't know how long it is, both the front and the back won't be the same. And I'm going to secure this one. And now our elastic is secured in place inside the casing that we made for it. All right, you should have something on the top that looks like this. And now what we're going to do, there will be some straps up here. We'll be finishing that. And on the bottom, it would look kind of like that. But we're not done here. Now if you wanted just a tunic shirt, you could come and cut straight across here and just add it like a border. It could be a ruffled border, any kind of border. But this is going to be a little bit longer, like a spring dress. So I'm going to actually add some patchwork coming up over these. I'll probably go ahead and cut this seam because it's kind of tough. I think I'll probably cut that off, and I'm just going to add in some patchwork pieces here to lengthen it just past this. And then we'll be doing some straps and some pockets. It's just going to be a spring tunic dress. And also, because of the way the sleeve is, you notice how it doesn't lay flat there? And that's another reason, since I'm doing patchwork, it has to be able to lay flat. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut that off so it'll lay out flat like that. So I'm going to be working from these bins here. I've got green, purple, pink, orange, and yellow in my scrap bins. And I'm going to be we are going to be piecing the bottom of the garment with these. I'm going to try to use a nice selection of colors. So this is going to be sort of, you know, springtime, bright, fun sort of colors. And I'm not even going to care, because there's an angle, I'm not going to be able to keep these all squared to each other. I'm just going to focus on filling in the area. So like here, I fold one corner over and hold it, fold the other one over, and that is where I will start. And in this one, I think I'll just go ahead and start here. And I'm using a zigzag, and you really need a flat table, flat work surface on your sewing machine to do this. And then you're going to go back up to your corner like this. And you just make sure that everything keeps laying flat. And the pattern that the color palette, you just pretty much want to focus on light, dark, light, dark. And the reason you do that is so your pieces stand out. Unless you're doing an entire like an entire piece, sewing piece that is pastel, then of course you would still be doing light dark, but just from the pastels, if that makes sense. Now I'm going to fold it again where I come up here because I won't be covering this till about here, so when you get up to where you're going to turn, you leave your needle down, make your turn, and see, it's not going to be squared off exactly, but it's fine. It'll look just fine when you're done. And some of these will be trimmed off and become smaller scraps. And I'm going to just keep doing this until I have it down long enough, the length I want it to go. Now we're going to throw in something, I think green. I'm kind of feeling like I want something sort of green. It's not really bright enough green. We want a bright green. Oh, this is bright enough. Isn't that cheerful? I think that is quite cheerful. We will throw that one on there. And I don't really look at the grain of the fabric. I just put it in how I want to see it. Like it could go that way, it could go this way. I think I'll do a piece that'll come across. I don't want it too big. We don't want any one of them too large. We'll just do that, and then we'll have some more green to throw in later. And then for this one, I'm going to start, same thing, fold, fold, and then I just pick my starting point. And I don't want it exactly in line. I want to come back over. That's what makes my patchwork interesting. So I come back into it like that. It does make for a lot of strings, and you do have to trim the backside as well. There is a video on this. I'll try to remember to put that one down below. And see, this video is just literally with a few new details, a culmination, however you say it, but it's just the other videos that I've made put together and just techniques that I use in my upcycling. So I have decided, I've been doing the patchwork, which has been turning out really pretty, but I'd like to hang it up and see what it looks like, so I need to do my straps. And I've decided to use ties. I have a piece of this one left, and then I have this pretty purple one. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew them on like this, about that far apart, here somewhere. I may put a big button on them, and then go about 7 inches or so, and then down and do the same on the back side. That's all I'm going to do for my straps.
2,000 years later.
All right, guys, I've been sewing all day long, and the reason it took me so long is I kept adding more and more and more to it. It's not one of my favorites, but I do like it, and it will be for sale in my shop. But I did put the buttons on it. I used ties here. Everything else I showed you how to do. So let me, I got to tilt the camera a little bit. So let me show you what it looks like. It is almost full length to the floor. Excuse the cord here. It's very lovely. It's so comfortable. You could sleep in it, but you definitely could go to a beach party in it. It's like a maxi, spring maxi dress or whatever. Remember, I am short, so if you do go to buy this, that I am only about 5 foot tall, so if you're like 5'6", it's going to be up about 6 inches higher on you. Isn't it cute? There's so much here. I mean, look at all the patchwork I got in on it. It's so much patchwork. And it's very comfortable and very versatile because see how I've got a long sleeve in it? You do tank tops, you could do just the straps. So really you can wear it for quite a bit of the year. So guys, I hope that gives you some ideas. I do have videos that show how to do all my patchwork. I show how to do this style of pocket in videos. I'll try to link some of those down below if you want to go watch those. And on this one, we really covered about using ties and then using elastic here instead of a band. And everything else really is in other videos that I have shown before. So anyways, just a little bit more for you guys to add to your knowledge of sewing. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye. Happy sewing.